Welcome to Nick November, where the movie tots take a look at Nick Cage's greatest, not so great hits, kicking off with 2007's Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider stars Nick Cage as Johnny Blaze, a stuntman who sometimes takes bath salts and his deal with the devil to become the devil's bounty hunter, Ghost Rider. Also, bad guys do bad things. Sam Elliott talks with a mouthful of marbles.
Consumed by greed, they turned on one another.
And the only reason to really watch this is Eva Mendes.
Oh, it must be coming from outside.
Pop Tot, what did you think of 2007's Ghost Rider?
I'm really going to ride the fence on this one because it's very interesting. It's obviously early Marvel. At one point, I'm very impressed with the graphics.
Oh yeah,
the CGI, the scale, everything. This is 2007, and they did a really good job.
Back to hell.
On the other end of it is
What?
Nick Cage is just over the top acting,
yeah.
especially when he's changing for the first time.
Oh
It's
man, it's
ridiculously funny.
he goes full in.
That's what she said.
I love Nick Cage because he never just takes a role to take it. He goes all in, and he goes a little too in. You know, I made the joke about the bath salts. He's like giggling and
No, I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble.
It's not trouble, it's just found you.
it's just, you kind of like get creeped out when you're watching it. Maybe that's what he was going for. I have no idea, but it's
like an accident on the interstate. You don't want to stare, but at the same time you can't look away. You're like, oh my god, what is he doing? And you're like, man, this guy is really just giving it his all.
Yeah.
Screaming at the door!
The special effects, there's a couple shots that are really impressive.
Even like the demons, like Blackheart and Mephistopheles, these little kind of like facial changes that they do. They're overlays. They're
so
obviously
creepy,
overlays.
yeah.
But they do it so well that it's not just dumbed down CGI.
No. I like this time before we started getting into the MCU where things start. And the initial MCU wasn't that way. And I've made that when I talked about the Incredible Hulk. You know, they had their own tone and they eventually got away from it. This has its own tone. It's trying to do its own thing. It does not always work clearly. And I think Nick Cage's performance and letting go hammy both is entertaining, but also goes against this tone of being dark and sinister, kind of like The Punisher or Mark Steven Johnson, who directed the film, his other movie, Daredevil, which I also love. Daredevil is just constantly nihilistic, cynical, and very dark. And this movie should have been, but it's not.
Did I say something funny?
Ironic.
There's an obvious amount of this movie that ended up on the editing room floor.
Oh yeah.
That's
agree.
the thing I can take away without. If this is the first time you've ever seen this movie, you're gonna think, well, this movie's either moving too fast or the tempos are really kind of odd and disengaging. And if you read in the production notes, they've cut like quite a bit from this movie.
Oh yeah, you can feel it. And I mean, again, that goes back to the lost and found hallmarks. Is the movie feels like it's on fast forward. You're like, wait a minute, wait, what's going on here? Why is this happening? One time in the movie where I was confused if Johnny Blaze had already been Ghost Rider or not. And I'm like, wait a minute, so has he been Ghost Rider yet or not? I don't understand. And then even now when I'm like, I don't think he ever was Ghost Rider. So did he just wait like 30 something years to become Ghost Rider? That didn't really make any sense to me.
You're under contract, remember? If you succeed, I'll return your soul.
Ghost Rider is one of the few Marvel comics that I'm kind of low intelligence about. I know about Ghost Rider and all that, and you and I talked about beforehand how he shares a lot of similarities to Spawn, which is kind of weird, but they weren't really straightforward on what he could and couldn't do and his abilities. He just appears as Ghost Rider in one scene.
I mean, I collected the comics way back when. I even had the Spirit of Vengeance series. I had quite a few of them growing up, basically like an Omega level god or something, taking on Thanos and Galactus. He's but you never get that, at least in the comics when I was growing up, and you definitely didn't get that in this one or the second one, or the Netflix version, which almost made it to its own show, but was canceled during pre-production.
Well, yeah, so they've done technically, but not technically, 3 incarnations. So they had a sequel to this that I don't really think carries over. The Ghost Rider himself looks so much different. I actually think there's bits where he looks better, but the production value of the film looks like a YouTube skit.
We'll kill it!
And then they had Robbie Reyes's, which is another Ghost Rider incarnation, take over in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which looks so much different too. And that was played by, I can't remember, it's the guy from Terminator Dark Fate, Gabriel Luna. Apparently, this was not planned at all. I had just seen information that Marvel's talked about bringing Nick Cage back again. You know, the movie, it was, in quotations, a success. It doubled its budget. It got a 28 on Rotten Tomatoes. Nick Cage was nominated for a Razzie. I don't know why. I'm very surprised.
No interviews, okay?
Not even for an old friend. Something burning?
Oh, it must be coming from outside.
I actually did enjoy the film, and I'm somewhat of a fan of Sam Elliott. Again, a lot of his buildup was cut from the movie somewhat. And it's pretty much the way they cut it. It kind of accidentally, you're like, oh, well, he's probably the original Ghost Rider. I mean, the way it's dressed.
It doesn't hide anything.
Keep Mephistopheles from getting his hands on it. Some people say he was buried with it.
So they want to go to San Venganza, where all these demons live, and the bad guy wants to go there. And so Ghost Rider and Sam Elliott's character wants to go there, and they get there, and then Sam Elliott's like, all right.
This is the end of the trail for me.
Most valuable player, MVP. You get the MVP award.
And you're just like, what? Wait, what?
Pissed blood!
You're like, all you had in you was to ride 500 miles across the desert.
You're not gonna you're not gonna fight or anything. Like he's like, oh, there's so much evil.
But what he found there was so evil that he took the contract and rode off. This is the end of the trail for me.
One of my biggest WTF moments of the movie was his producer and best friend, Mac, played by Donald Logue. He gets killed by Blackheart.
Oh my God, yes.
Johnny Blaze comes running in. He
doesn't give a shit.
He kneels down. He's like,
Mac.
You know, the love interest is half dead.
Give a shit.
That's all you hear. There's no. Me and Mama Tot were watching this, and they were kissing at the end. You know, that little kiss under the tree, and I'm like, you know, they should have, like, at the bottom, R.A.P. Mac or something, right?
Just.
Mac.
And I love Donald Logue. He's one of those guys that's always like, hey, that guy. You know, he's got a few hilarious bits in this too.
He was in Blade.
Oh yeah, he was in Blade. And they just completely.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Whitney Houston?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Whitney's dead?
Yeah.
Oh! How's Michael Jackson taking it?
It was so like unceremonious too, because it didn't he wasn't trying to like defend anybody. He just got killed from behind. It was just like, okay. You know, the movie really pushes this love interest angle between Eva Mendes and Nick Cage, which doesn't really work or make any sense at all.
But she is yowzer.
Right to jail.
Eva Mendes is so ugly in this movie that she's so gross. Yeah, there's a scene where she's coming on to Johnny Blaze and he's just like, oh, I can't, I'm gonna be like whatever. And I'm like, this is a superpower in itself, dude.
It's not great timing.
The end battle is just kind of whatever. It's just kind of there.
He'd already taken down like 2 of the henchmen, Blackheart's henchmen,
video game levels.
And they're like element demons or something.
Right.
So he'd already taken 2 of them down before he got to the Ghost City.
Guess they blew all their budget. There's a really cool scene, kind of end of Act 2, when he's running from the cops and goes up a building, and then he whips the guy with the chains, and he's like dragging down the helicopter, and that all looks badass. And he jumps off with his motorcycle, and he like whips his chains to like attach to the building, and it's a trailer shot for sure. I'm sure it's probably used as a trailer shot.
Yeah,
and it looks badass.
I did like that scene where he basically lassoed the helicopter, and he's pulling the helicopter, and he's talking to the helicopter. It's like, you're pissing me off. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah.
You're pissing me off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm guessing they blew the budget on that and just like, whatever, we can't do anything else. So, as usual on Lost and Found, we rate things by Lost. You leave it to the streaming black hole, completely ignore it, and watch something else on one of 872 streaming services that you can pay $10.99 or $11.99 with no ads.
Please get me out of here!
Or Found, you can seek it out on a weekend watch like we did, Pop Top, where we putting 2007's Ghost Rider.
I would actually watch it. I don't mind that this is pre MCU where it got all kind of, glitzy and funny, and it's Nick Cage is a little over the top, but if you're a Nick Cage fan, this is just typical Nick Cage. 2007 level of CGI and special effects are really good, and they've aged really well. So if you haven't watched it, or you haven't watched it in a few years, I would give it a set.
This movie is so freaking stupid, and I love it. It reminds me so much of, again, Mark Steven Johnson's film Daredevil, which I also love so much. The movie Daredevil is so stupid. There are scenes that make no sense. The love angle doesn't work. The bad guy doesn't really work. There's a couple cool action scenes, and it's very much a period of its time.
This is actually one of Mama Tot's secret guilty pleasures. I said I was going to put Ghost Rider on, and she's like, oh, the one with Nick Cage and Eva Mendes, and I'm like, what?
Have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beat until you pissed blood?
Did you tell her it's not The Rookie starring Dennis Quaid?
No.
A joke that nobody's going to get.
Nobody's going to get that.
Nobody's going to get that joke.
You're under contract, remember?
She really enjoyed that movie. She said it was one of her favorite comic book movies.
Well,
and I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Miss Todd and I both really love Nick Cage. We have tons of Nick Cage memorabilia, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think it would have definitely benefited from awesome hard rock music like 2003's Daredevil did.
Forever in darkness. A guardian devil.
The movie is dark. It's pretty nihilistic. There's a shit ton of people that die horribly in this movie.
Yes.
Ghost Rider's pretty awesome, but how his powers work don't make any sense.
Nick Cage based his performance on a little bit of Elvis and a cobra snake.
Yeah, that's definitely a choice.
Fucking mother should open the door, motherfuckers!
Wes Bentley was the bad guy, and he was just doing...
He's a good bad guy.
He was basically doing Deacon Frost from Blade. Just kind of generic white guy over the top. I want all the powers, which is actually the exact same thing as Deacon Frost from Blade.
I have all of my father's strengths, and none of his weaknesses.
All our strengths, none of our weaknesses. What are you gonna do? We both know you can't harm me here. I'm not like you. I've never fallen.
You're not even a pure blood.
Interesting.
Even the blood red eyes.
Yeah, the blood red eyes and sucking all the souls so he could have all the power.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty.
Oh, there's so many ideas.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
But yeah, definitely watch it. I think it's worth it. It's right under 2 hours. It's a fun watch. It's not a, favorite movie. It's definitely one of those guilty pleasures. It's worth watching every now and then.
Johnny?
As usual, thank you guys so much for watching. Please let us know, what did you guys think of Ghost Rider? Did you enjoy it? Was Nick Cage perfect?
Please get me out of here!
not perfect, let us know. Please recommend a Nick Cage movie to us. There's so many of them, and he's a very interesting guy, and we would love to check out another one that you guys have recommended. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
You want some jellies?
You.
Howdy.